Third rail.
I'm not even going there. I'm
No.
saying there's cheating on both sides.
Listen, where there are high stakes, and at the end of the day, where there's money and power and fame, you're going to have people that cheat. And the thing that I think we're trying to say here today is that what we'd like to do is just have people really think about where their moral compass is and what you're teaching, yourself, what you're living with, what you're teaching your children, and like where we're going to get to in a society if every single person thought that was okay. Like society would fall apart.
Games are great.
I love games. This has been a game, and we're coming in to another episode of Girls Gone Gritty because this life is a game, I feel like, and this podcast has been a real challenge of a game, trying to figure things out and do things. So we want to thank you for tuning back into us. And this week we're going to tackle, in the game of life, in the game of sports, mostly, we're going to talk about the people that, call things out when they're in, put themselves in a place where they feel like they are, taking the score and saying, no, the score wasn't that, it was this. Putting themselves in a position where they think that they're winning when actually they're losing. We're talking about the people who like to cheat.
The cheaters.
A
lot of cheaters. What is it with athletes that want to cheat? Now, I saw some disturbing things this weekend, and you look at tennis is a great sport. Like, I love all sports. You have sports that, when I get my mind focused, you have sports that, like skiing, that are timed. So there's no discrepancies there. You have judged events like surfing, gymnastics. You could go on the list. Then you have sports like volleyball, tennis, where each shot, like a critical shot, whether it hits the tape or it's out,
whether you hit the net.
If you hit the net, but if it hits the tape and someone calls that out, at a critical time in the game, you lose the match. And I saw some things over the weekend, and it just made me go, hey, you know what? What is it that makes you feel that it's okay to cheat and say something is in when it's out? Now, does it come from the parents, when parents are sitting there and family members watching and going, they're winning? Well, like, what's that psyche that it's okay?
Cheaters breed cheaters.
Absolutely. And to what cost do you want to win? I mean, we've all coached many a sport, and I always say to my kids when I've coached my children as a parent, it's an old adage. It's a simple adage. It's not whether you win or lose. It's how you play the game. And that sentence, that statement is lost on so many people. They're like, yeah, how you play the game, like how well you do, how well that. Like, no. How you win, how you lose, how you present yourself, how you are graceful when you're a loser, and how you're a good, winner who appreciates the other side of it. And somebody who is constantly like saying that, like, no, that was out, or that was unfair, or that's a do-over. I mean, that starts when the kids are really little.
Do-over. Well, the problem is everybody gets a medal now, and that doesn't teach you
absolutely
the strategy of, you have to have grit. In order to play at a high level, you need grit.
Talking about cheating as a strategy, though.
It is strategy. And people's head is
and
the same.
Sometimes you're not even like necessarily cheating, but it's a strategy. Like recently I was playing tennis, and our tennis pro said, hey, Farley, you've got a really hard serve, and sometimes people can't see if it really was in or out. Just start walking to the other side. Like, it was in, and you feel very good about it. And I kind of was like, wow, that's pretty brazen. I want them to be honest. I want them to call it. I don't want to just like walk over and be like, what? I thought that was it, when I didn't see it with my own eyes either. So there's a lot of different strategies that could make you almost feel like people are cheating, but they prey on getting somebody upset.
Yeah,
they prey on the emotion.
Mm-hmm. and the weakness of the moment where you're like, well, all right, well, you said it's in, I didn't see it, I thought it was out, so okay, fine. I guess you win because you're being aggressive. And listen, at the end of the day, aggressive nature in sports and resilience and all these things and being confident is absolutely what you want to teach. But you don't want to teach your children. I don't want to be the competitor that's like so, about themselves that they don't actually consider that we're playing a game, people. And at the end of the day, like, even if you're playing for like a match and a championship at your club, you still got to show up, with your name, and you still have to show up with pride about the way you played in the game. And I think a lot of people don't care.
Let's talk about it. It's
club tennis.
Club tennis. You're setting an example for all these littles that are sitting there. Like, these are the best players in the club, and you're watching them, and they slam their rackets and they're calling balls out when they're in. And I'm like, wait, you guys are, what's that number? And that just not.
I don't know. Somebody's calling us out. And I would say that, let's give a little asterisk to that today too. Like, for the record, we're not talking about anybody in particular here. Like, I have watched it on the sidelines of my kids. I've watched it in my own matches. I've watched it on television. We've seen it throughout history of sports, of people that you found they're cheating. Like, we talked about Tanya Harding in an earlier episode. Like, we've talked about, the politics of that feels like cheating, of like who gets selected for teams, because it's not about the merit of the character of the athlete. It's about who's the right person and the right fit. Oh, and little side note, Caitlin Clark is now on. We said it. We got it. We said it. We said it. We knew it was going to happen. Oh, something's going to happen. She'll suddenly be on the team.
Got ejected.
Yes.
Yeah.
She took her place, Brittany.
Right. As she should. Yes. And that's right. Come on, let's bring you.
You're playing for your country. If you don't like your country, then maybe
full circle, people.
Yeah, full circle. But sportsmanship, I believe, is something that we really have to instill in the younger athlete. And I look at a lot of the college sports and college tennis, talking to some of my friends' children. I said, no, it's people cheat. It's part of the game. And I said, all right, there's one thing to get in someone's head. You could get in my head in like 2 minutes. My sister, we get on the court, and in like 2 minutes, she's already in my head. And she laughs.
Yeah.
And I guess that is a strategy, but
talking smack is part of the game. I don't mind that.
But like, I would play tennis, and some of the moms I'd be playing with, they're like, oh, it's out. I'm like, it's tape though. They're like, no.
Wow. Some of these moms really can't see. I do know that there are people that are definitely visual problems. Like, they can't see. It's like, too bad that we don't have the technology that they have
back in the day.
Oh, it'll happen.
Cute. I can't see it.
You might not be really good at calling balls in or out.
I always call them in, though. If I don't know, I always call them in.
Well, listen, and that's part of what we're talking about too. It's like, when I play, if I'm not sure, that's you. You know what I mean? I'll give it to you. It's like, oh, I'm not sure if that was in or out, so I guess it was in, because I can't say it was out, so therefore it's in. But there's a lot of people that don't do that. But I love the fact that I won't mention the person, but I thought it was an amazing strategy. I was playing tennis with somebody, and they were not performing as well as I think they thought they should have. So they messed with our heads, and I'm a new tennis player, and they played Australian serve. I'd never seen it before. So for those of you who play tennis, you know this. For those of you that don't, it's when you're on the service line, when your team's serving, your partner should be in the opposite side of the court. That's not a steadfast rule, and the Australians can sometimes play it, I learned, where they're on the same side of the court and the person serving is more in the middle of the court. And it just is like, when it first happens to you, you're like, wait, what's happening? I didn't know that. I didn't know you were all
strategy.
Because at the end of the day, I'm a rule follower. Shocker for those people that know me. I didn't know that you were allowed to do that. So I was like, wait, what's happening? They messed up, and I kept trying to fix them. So because I'm trying to fix them, I'm in my head.
Well, they say with sports and athletes, when you get to a certain level, when you know the game, it's like 85% mental and 15% you already have it. You have the capability, you know the sport, you're ready, you're trained, you're at that high level. That 85% of your game is in your head. And I look at some of these younger players that come in, and I'm like, I just wonder, what is it? Like, what would make you think it's okay to just get a win a title, win the trophy after you cheated? Like, is it just, and people go, oh, well, they're used to it. They do it all the time.
It's not just kids. It's not just athletes.
Coaches.
Yeah. It is refs that might get paid off because there's bets, and if there's a lot to cheating. I mean, it's pretty crazy.
Well, I just wait to see how bad it's going to get. And I was talking to my husband about this recently because of the sports betting. Just wait till you see how bad it's going to get when there's a lot of money on the line and you have human participants who can, put the needle on the record on a little side of winning or losing. And they can just play as hard as they could. Yeah. And, and it's the dawn of time. I mean, there was stuff on record I was reading from back like in the Greek and Roman times where like they had people that would completely cheat in like wrestling matches, because that was a lot of the things that they did. And this one Roman paid off 3 people to lose on purpose. And he got found out and he was cast out of society. Like literally he was cast out. And, and I think that's the interesting thing, like the Tanya Hardings of the world. And like, there's that big Astros situation where they were cheating with the signs of baseball play, yeah. And you know what? It's like, here's the other thing is that like with that one, the Astros, it's like, that was a little bit of a loophole, like you're hoping that the side is not trying to distinguish what your plays are so that they know the play. Football has plays. Baseball has plays.
I mean,
there's been
stuff game.
Like,
Lance.
Down to even
but Lance was doping.
No,
Lance was doping.
All these other forms. It's not just calling a ball in or out or calling,
deciphering signals. I mean, I don't mind somebody trying to figure out what the base coach is doing, but sending a video camera to try to like capture so that they can break down what their defensive strategies and signs are is disgusting. But like not being asleep at the wheel and recognizing that, it's a slippery slope. I also will tell you in 2001, the Little League World Series. Okay.
Love those guys.
Oh boy.
Danny Almonte, was falsified by a birth certificate. He was 14.
I remember this.
You have to be 12. Right. And he was throwing 70 miles an hour at 14 years old. So they brought him in as a ringer and he was clobbering the 12-year-olds. Busted.
Yeah.
Busted.
Well, and at the end of the day, here's the thing. Here's the reality. It's psycho parents, but here's the other part.
And the coach.
And that you have to have rules. People have to agree to the rules. And this is part of the problem that I see with certain sports that go by not birth year, but graduation year, or so you now are able to play with that. And I have children that I did not send to school when they were 5 years old exactly, because they're boys. So I let them, germinate a little bit longer, and they went a little bit late. But I wasn't doing it for athletics. I was doing it for social, emotional development. They're great kids. They're great students. They're great athletes. They're not competing at a really high level. But you're watching some of these sports where they don't have a rule on age and how old you can be when you're on some D1 sports, you've got kids that are 24 and 25 competing against, because they pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed.
How about the hockey players
held back?
Yes,
hockey players come in with full beards and like they're giant grown men, like they're going to college after being in the NHL and whatever they can be, and
especially right now, you factor in like the pandemic and then maybe a red shirt year for being injured.
And that's different. To me, that's an asterisk. A red shirt is part of the rule.
I know.
And pandemic is a part of the rule.
Well, let's just say that person's already been held back too.
Correct.
And.
Correct.
So Mackenzie, technically qualifies for a 6th year as a lacrosse player because of the pandemic and blowing out her ACL her senior year. She took her 5th year, but she was like, Mom, there's no way I'm taking my 6th year. She's like, I'm 23 years old. And she had another teammate that ended up taking her 6th year, as she should, because she,
no judgments about that,
blew out her ACL and she lost her pandemic year. But they were calling her granny panties on the sidelines at every game.
Who wants to
hey,
go to
grandma?
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, Mac,
she
go to LA,
go
to Manhattan Beach and go air it out and have fun and start your life.
Well, she's definitely starting her life. But,
yeah. But when you give people that opportunity, and here's the reality, when you give the people the opportunity where there isn't a rule on how old you have to be, or how the limit on how old you can be, they're going to push it. People are going to push it, because why not? If I can be 24 and have a couple more years on an 18-year-old and nobody cares about that rule, okay, you know?
You love the game and you want to just,
Guys,
that's what I love. It's
rules,
like, you love game and
people want to break rules.
and you want to keep going.
But rules are the thing that keep sport together. If you don't have rules, it's a freaking free-for-all.
There's cheaters in golf. They move balls. There's cheaters in baseball. It's like crazy because they do something wacko with their bat, or the pitcher, you know, greases the ball and puts resin. And I mean, it's just, if you are inept,
Oh my God.
or if you, you know, like to kind of just cheat,
But
you're going to figure out a way to
it's
cheat.
just, it's getting in people's heads and changing the way. Because it rattles
How
me.
about just making a cheater horrified, and that follows them around for the rest of their life, that they're a cheater? You know, like you sit in a corner with a dunce hat on. You know, wouldn't it be nice if you actually had to like wear a shirt that said, I am a cheater, and you get ostracized publicly in society being known as a cheater?
But I think people
a cheater is a liar.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, but then it's just, if it's in your makeup and that's the only way you know, and you only do it when it comes to,
You have to
like,
know the
yes.
difference between right and wrong, though. Even if your parents are teaching you to cheat, do you morally know that that's correct or not correct? Do you?
Well, and to winning at all, and people have a winning at all costs, and at all costs.
I'm going to get my kid into a school and I'm going to lie about their SAT scores and their ACT scores, or I'm going to say that they're rowing crew because I'm famous and I can actually move mountains.
Ooh, we forgot about those cheaters.
There's, you know,
And those cheaters didn't even get that much trouble.
how about cheaters politically? Let's be real.
don't even, that's, can't.
Yeah, no.
But I'm just saying,
Third rail.
everybody.
Rail, no politics.
Third rail.
I'm not even going there. I'm
No,
just
no.
saying there's cheating on both sides.
Listen, where there are high stakes, and at the end of the day, where there's money and
Right.
power and fame, you're going to have people that cheat. And the thing that I think we're trying to say here today is that what we'd like to do is just have people really think about where their moral compass is and what you're teaching, you know, yourself, what you're living with, what you're teaching your children, and like where we're going to get to in a society if every single person thought that was okay. Like society would fall apart. If everybody cheated, if everybody stole, if everybody because to your point, Farley, if you're a cheater, then you're a liar. And then to me, you're a cheater, you're a liar, then you could be a thief. And then from there, where do we go? So to me, you said it earlier, I think Darian, you did too. Cheating is a very slippery slope. And if you allow your 5-year-old, I mean, we've had this situation. Let's talk about thief. You had little people at one point, we've all had little people who thought it was okay. They went to a store and they grabbed something and they weren't really thinking about the ramifications because they're this big. And
how put it on my club number. B86.
And but you know, at a convenience store, I had one of my kids do this, grab something at a convenience store and walk out and well, where'd you get that? I didn't pay for that. And you know, some parents are too embarrassed. Maybe that's some of it. Some parents are whatever, it's a store. They don't care if I took a $5 candy bar or whatever it is. And other parents, I was one of them, and my kids probably still hate me to this day. I was like, oh, the hell no. Let's go back in. Let's go back inside.
Yeah.
And let's you got to say, I'm really sorry. I made a mistake. I didn't know. And mom's gonna hold you accountable. Because if you don't do that and you don't call a kid out when they're 10 years old on a baseball team, you know, dropping a ball and be like, no, I caught it, because that's happened a million times too.
How about Go Fish? How about cards?
Yes.
How about Monopoly? How about all the fun little games that you play? How about peeking through your eyes during hide and seek? Peeking through your hands. I mean, cheating starts really, really, really early. And if you catch your child at a young age, you know, peeking through their fingers, or, you know, changing an answer at the last second when the teacher, you know, in a class says, okay, time's up, and all of a sudden they're erasing something really quickly, or, you know, those are teachable moments.
Yeah.
And it's hard, but this is the consistency of parenting, where you make a big deal out of something that might be insignificant in life, but it actually isn't. Because those little things, the little cheat, the little steal, the little lie, become big cheats, big steals, and big lies.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you can finish a game, finish a sport, whatever you're doing, game of cards, game of chess, and you can go and you look that person in the eye and you can shake their hand and say, good game, good match, good whatever, because they won. And you can look them in the eye and have no remorse, then that's just what it is. And I hope that people can go and teach their kids just the manners of being an athlete and shake someone's hand, look them in the eye. If you had a bad shot, don't slam your ball down, don't slam your racket.
No one likes a sore loser.
And even if it's just in between points. And
John McEnroe did it. He didn't. It wasn't cool. You know, you look at some of these sports heroes that are out there that had terrible behavior, and even like, you know, pro soccer, they fall down, they act like they blew out their ACL, and you know, the acting, and I know it's a part of kind of the culture, but there is a way to behave, and don't emulate the people that might be incredibly good at what they do. Look at what Sammy Sosa did during his Major League Baseball career. I mean, you know, if he wasn't cheating because he was on roids, he was, you know, cheating with a bat that like blew up. And, you know, so cheaters, just like we said last week or whatever it was, small kids, small problems, big kids, bigger problems.
Right.
It's the same thing.
It is.
You start cheating in a game of cards, and later you're gambling on a team and hoping that the spread is going to be in your favor.
Well, the winners are the ones who know that they won the game fair and square, even though they didn't win, and they can walk off and they can look the person in the eye. Internally, you know you won, and eventually it will come back. And just got to keep your head high, play your game, smile, have a good time, and hopefully you don't have to play those people too often.
Well, and you know, I always look at it like, well, it's a gift to engage somebody in a game to see how they truly are as a human being. And if you're a cheater on the court, or if I don't really love playing the sport or the game with you, and that's what you're showing up with in social, and that's what you're putting out there into the world, like, what happens behind closed doors when nobody's watching? Like, if this is what we do on the stage, if this is what we do in the game, this is what we do in the World Series, or, you know, at the Super Bowl, like, if you're like not a great winner or loser or just athlete human being there, listen, and we all have our moments. We all have our moments where we're frustrated. And what we hope is when people get really frustrated and angry when they're competing and they're losing, they're angry at themselves. And that's what I say to people when I play things. I'm like, listen, if I'm ever like upset, if we win or we win or lose together if you're on my team. Like, I'm not going to be like, I had a great game, my person sucked, and like, you know, you can think that. You can think that. Baby. But listen, you're on a team. That's how teams are. There's no I in team. It's simple stuff. But I also think it's going to be really interesting what's going to happen with what you said, made me think about like all of the like replay opportunities we have with like Wimbledon and stuff, and you can actually see if it's truly out or truly in. Like, I can't wait to do an episode on like where all this tech is going to take us with like AI and Big Brother and cameras. Like, you're not going to be able to cheat. Like, it's going to be like
plagiarism now.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't plagiarize anymore because you've got all kinds of just done AI, type AI, Winston, copy leaks, originality AI.
Yep.
So now all these teachers have access to these free programs. They can spot, you know, somebody that's plagiarizing in 2 nanoseconds.
But it's hard. That's a slippery subject too, because like you think about like the research that we did when we were kids that was, you know, actual hardcore research, like versus like what I would say today is like a cheat. Like, all I have to do is Google it. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
instead of getting a microfiche and going to the library and like
having to go interview somebody, I got to find somebody to interview. Like, I have to like, you know, so
phone so I can do my homework. I'm like,
you know, so technology is like an inherent cheat. And it's gonna take a lot of these questions off the table.
They're gonna be able to figure out how to cheat technology because we're too smart. So we're screwing ourselves because technology, all somebody has to do one day is just turn off the button. I feel like Microsoft had that little bit of a test recently, and all of our telephones, you know, have been kind of glitchy and weird, and you know, we are just way too in charge of basically our demise because
Well,
we're too
wow.
smart.
Oh,
No, but it's great.
but it's going to
You know
be
what?
great to go play sports.
Play some sports,
Let's
and
go outside.
well,
Get outside.
the winners are the one that go out and give it their all. And for all you listening, watching, thank you so much.
Wait, we're not done yet. I've got 2 more.
Okay, wait, hold on. She
got-
wants to pick up the crashing vehicle. Oh my God, how was that?
We can
Is
add,
that sign language for a balloon? No,
listen. We can edit out anything we feel like it, but
we don't.
and it's authentic and
Yeah.
I'm just going to let you know about 2 other cheaters that I thought ballsy. I mean, seriously. Okay, so in the 1904 Olympics in St. Louis, there was Fred Lors. Okay, he ran the marathon in 3 hours and 13 minutes.
Which is basically impossible.
Okay, but listen, he hitched a ride for 11 miles in a car. Still got out and posed for photos and got busted. And they actually said that there was going to be a lifetime ban on him ever competing. And guess what? He won the Boston Marathon the following year because the ban was lifted. Okay? So that to me is just so comical. I mean, you can cheat anywhere. You can we've seen that in marathons. You could just walk right off and go pick up another, part of the trail or part
Well,
of
they chip you now.
Yes,
Because
of
the
cheaters.
because the cheat. Well, yes, because they have to have the technology catch up to the intellect of other people. Like, let's hop in a car.
Now listen, this one cracked me up. I was like, wow, okay, this guy, Antonio Margarito in 2009, he used plaster of Paris in the wraps within his gloves before a boxing match. And they turned basically to cement, okay, which was like blunt force at every blow.
Right.
I mean, people are creative. I'll give them that. But if you only put your effort and initiative in a positive way instead of trying to figure out how to beat the system, and this goes for everybody. This isn't just sports. This is how you cheat in business. This is how you cheat in school. This is just, can you imagine if we actually flipped the coin and used all of this creativity and energy and put it towards something positive?
But I do think I have to operate. I mean, you know this about me. I have to operate with I got to believe 99% of the population are trying to do the good. They're not seeing the ball out really. They actually just have bad eyes. I don't really feel like there is somebody that most people.
That would be an interesting statistic to see really
that's good.
what.
You need to research that.
Okay, I don't know if that exists because people would lie with their answers.
They were. They can tell you I cheated. They don't believe it.
It's definitely not just 99. I'm sorry.
I know, but I have to operate in that world.
Doing what it takes to win at any cost, and people will do whatever it takes.
I like that
win.
people are
Well, and
it's competitive, and it's something that they've probably learned from when they were little and they were brought up, and it just keeps going. So it takes you through your entire life. Now,
cheater, pumpkin eater, had a wife and couldn't keep her. I mean, there's rhymes, nursery rhymes.
Of course there are. But here's the reality. Here's the other reality is that people will stand on the podium in life. I'm not just talking about athletically or whatever. And the when it gets fixed, it's a small little notation at the bottom. You get headlines when you win.
Yeah.
When you do something amazing, right? And then it's not amazing anymore. A lot of times it's down here. It's a little asterisk. Oh, sorry, we had a little adjustment to that. Sorry, we that wasn't actually factual, and we're gonna fix it down here. Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But the person gets to this, and that's why, honestly, and I know you did a lot of research, and I looked up a few things too. It's I didn't come up with a million cheaters that they're talking about because it's all been
shocked.
It's all been kind of erased. I feel even Deflategate,
did you know that
people
he did
are
Spygate before he did Deflategate? Belichick and won. Okay, I think he was the coach of the year in 2000.
I'm a Giant fan.
7.
Yeah, my husband's gonna kill me.
Coach of the year. I might mix this up, but 2007 or 2008, Belichick was the coach of the year. But the year before that, he did Spygate, where he actually, went out and had a video crew videoing.
And that came from Watergate, which was a president that cheats. So basically, again, we come back to
$500,000.
Tom Brady is still hot, and he's a god. I'm sorry, he's.
Listen, I'm sure if everybody else felt all the other balls, I mean, the footballs, then They probably had a little pressure
Multiple.
released from them.
Okay.
I would
All right. On that, if you're not first, you last here at Girls Gone Gritty. So thanks so much for listening and watching, and tune in next week. We always have something unique and unscripted, and look forward to our next rendezvous, ladies.
Be gritty and don't cheat.
Cheaters never win. Winners never cheat. Peace out.
Amen to that.